Everyone knows about Clown Time, the Red Box, the Infinite Tunnel, Gate to Whimsy, all very mysterious things present in the Yokai Watch games, but none compare to the most mysterious thing of all, the giant lobster from Hazy Lane. For years, people have pondered the meaning of the giant lobster from Hazy Lane. Why is it giant? Why is it a lobster? Why is it in Hazy Lane? Are all questions I'm sure everyone has wondered. Well, today I will be discussing the giant lobster from Hazy Lane in hopes of answering at least one of these questions. Before we do any of that, we first have to discuss what is Hazy Lane. Hazy Lane is an area present within an obscure game you probably never heard of called Yokai Watch 3. Yokai Watch 3 is a role-playing video game developed by Level 5 for the Nintendo 3DS and the third installment in the main series of Yokai Watch video games. It was initially released as two versions, Sushi and Tempura, in Japan in July 2016. A third version of the game, Sukiyaki, was released in Japan in December 2016, adding new content and enhancements on the original versions. An English version based on Sukiyaki, published by Nintendo, was released in PAL regions in December 2018 and in North America 2 months later. The game follows the interconnected stories of dual protagonist Nathan "Nate" Adams, an 11-year-old boy who recently moved to the fictitious city of BBQ in the southern United States, and Haley Ann Thomas, a self-styled otaku outcast who opens a detective agency in upstate of Springdale and replaces Nate's love interest Katie Forrester as the female protagonist. They both possess the Yokai Watch's Model U prototypes, allowing them to see, befriend, and summon yokai. Why does the Wikipedia page say Yokai Watch's Model U prototypes? That doesn't make any sense. This is the first time I'm reading this one. The game received generally positive reviews from critics, but was considered a commercial failure outside of Japan. To date, it is the last title in the series to be released internationally. Hazy Lane, Japanese, NN Azimichi, is a rice paddy field that can be found at Greenfield in Yokai Watch 3. This area mirrors the Infinite Tunnel that appeared in Yokai Watch 2, except now it includes some extra events. Likewise, it can only be done once a day and resets at 6 AM with Nintendo 3DS's system clock. The goal of this area is to cross the rice paddy fields as long as the player can, while they make decisions based on the things that they might find in the field. Depending on the choices, the distance of the exit may be further or shorter, and they may or may not find items or encounter yokai. The exit is indicated by a gate similar to the one at the entrance of Mount Wildwood Shrine and a row of trees. Hazy Lane serves as a replacement to its predecessor, the Infinite Tunnel, and as a result shares many features with a handful of its own differences. Entering Hazy Lane can only be done once a day, with the player being prompted to save before entering. The player's daily visit resets at 6 AM based on the system clock in the Nintendo 3DS. The main goal of Hazy Lane remains unchanged from its predecessor, which is to travel as far as possible, with a chance to meet rare yokai, including the friend formed of several boss yokai. The further one travels. The player's best record of distance traveled recorded in yards/meters depending on the region. That's not true, it's always in meters in Yokai Watch 3, I think. Can be found in their profile in the Contacts app. Initially, the player will reach Hazy Lane's end at about roughly 500 to 1000 meters, by the way, Wiki, can you please fix that? Subsequent visits lengthen the field, typically by another 1000 yards/meters. The field's length is also affected by how the player responds to questions, situations presented by certain NPCs found in the fields. These NPCs may trigger a battle or give the player an item, depending on the choices they make. The player can leave Hazy Lane earlier by interacting with a scarecrow, which appear on the left side of the path, similar to the doors in the Infinite Tunnel. Yokai can also be encountered while walking down Hazy Lane, and talking to them gives the player the option to battle them. Occasionally, yokai may be found stationary in the middle of the pathway, which will force the player to battle when approached. The yokai found near the start of the field are initially low ranked, but the yokai encountered much further down the field gradually change to higher ranking ones. The background of Hazy Lane changes when a certain amount of yards is reached. From 0 to 2000, the path is surrounded by rice paddy fields. From 2000 to 5000, more scarecrows are around the fields. From 5000 to 8000, the scenery gets more natural, as overgrown grass and sunflowers can be seen around. Finally, from 8000 to 10,000, the rice fields are replaced by wheat, making it more yellow. After the 10,000 yards meters is reached, these four variants of the background will change around every 10,000 meters, not yards, passed. In the Hazy Lane, Moody, Mary, and Skulk can also be found. There's no comma there. I'm not one to criticize punctuation, but there should be a comma there. Skulk being the boss fight of the area. After beating him, Moody Mary would give the player an item every time they finished Hazy Lane afterwards. Note that the player would never get anything if they leave through a scarecrow. Now, with that out of the way, we need to answer the question, what is a lobster? Lobsters are Mallocostracan decapod crustaceans of the family Nephropidae, or its synonym Homeridae. They have long bodies with muscular tails and live in crevices or burrows on the seafloor. Three of their 5 pairs of legs have claws, including the first pair, which are usually much larger than the others. Highly prized as seafood, lobsters are economically important and are often the most profitable commodities in the coastal areas they populate. Commercially important species include 2 species of Homarus from the North Atlantic Ocean and scampi, which look more like shrimp, or a mini lobster. The Northern Hemisphere genus Nephrops and the Southern Hemisphere genus Metanephrops. Although several other groups of crustaceans have the word lobster in their name, the unqualified term lobster generally refers to the clawed lobsters of the family Nephropidae. Clawed lobsters are not closely related to langustas, spiny and slipper lobsters, which have no claws, chelae, or to squat lobsters. The most similar living relatives to clawed lobsters are the reef lobsters and the 3 families of freshwater crayfish. Lobsters are invertebrates with a hard protective exoskeleton. Like most arthropods, lobsters must shed to grow, which leaves them vulnerable. During the shedding process, several species change colour. Lobsters have 8 walking legs. The front 3 pairs bear claws, the first of which are larger than the others. The front pincers are also biologically considered legs, so they belong in the order decapods, 10-footed. Although lobsters are largely bilaterally symmetrical, like most other arthropods, some genera possess unequal specialized claws. Lobster anatomy includes 2 main body parts, the cephalothorax and the abdomen. The cephalothorax fuses the head and the thorax, both of which are covered in chitinous carapace. The lobster's head bears antennae, antennules, mandibles, the first and second maxillae. The head also bears the usually stalked compound eyes. Because lobsters live in the murky environment at the bottom of the ocean, they mostly use their antennae as sensors. Lobster eyes are a reflective substance above the convex retina. In contrast, most complex eyes use refractive ray concentrators, lenses, and a concave retina. The lobster's thorax is composed of maxillipeds, appendages, and that function primarily as mouthparts, and parapods, appendages that serve for walking and for gathering food. The abdomen includes pleopods, also known as swimmerets, used for swimming, as well as a tail fan composed of uropods and the telson. Lobsters, like snails and spiders, have blue blood due to the presence of hemocyanin, which contains copper. In contrast, vertebrates and many other animals have red blood from iron-rich hemoglobin. Lobsters possess a green hepatopancreas, called the tomale by chefs, which functions as the animal's liver and pancreas. Lobsters of family Nephridae are similar in overall form to several other related groups. They differ from freshwater crayfish in lacking the joint between the last 2 segments of the thorax, and they differ from reef lobsters of the family Amnoplamenopidae in having full claws in the first 3 pairs of legs rather than just 1. The distinctions from fossil families such as the Chilenophoverbidae are based on the patterns of grooves on the carapace. Analysis of the neural gene complement revealed extraordinary development of the chemosensory machinery, including a profound diversification of ligand-gated ion channels and secretory molecules. The giant lobster from Hazy Lane has a random chance of appearing alongside Skulk randomly in Hazy Lane by chasing the player. Now this may seem a bit random, but honestly makes complete sense. Skulk is fought after 7979 meters in Hazy Lane, which most of you probably knew. What you might not know is after reaching 1,085,731 meters, you unlock the side mode Lobster's Tea, where the giant lobster from Hazy Lane can be fought as a secret boss. I mean, if I know so much about the giant lobster from Hazy Lane, what makes it so mysterious? Before we can answer that, I have to thank today's sponsor, Lobster VPN. Do you live in Springdale and wish you could watch shows from BBQ? No? Well, Lobster VPN has you covered. With 1 total location to pick from, you'll have wide access to a variety of shows from all across the globe. Not only that, but Lobster VPN protects your data by stealing it and dumping it in a random distance into Hazy Lane. No more worrying about hackers anymore. Use the link in the description or use code NOTACRAYFISH for 0.1% off your first day of Lobster VPN. Thanks again to Lobster for sponsoring the video. The origin of the giant lobster from Hazy Lane is a mystery still being debated after thousands of years since the game released. Some say Akihiro Hino was a big fan of Giant Lobster Yokai 3 back in 1997, so he added him to the game. Others claim Giant Lobster Yokai 3 saved his life back in 1837, so Hino put his soul into the game. Luckily, we have the Giant Lobster Yokai 3 on today's video for an interview about the truth. So, what are your thoughts on the release of Yokai 3?
Well, you see, me and my friend have been huge fans of the Yokai series ever since Yokai 7, The Return of Lord Steppa, released back in 12,000 BC, so when we heard they were making a third one, we were so hyped.
So, how exactly did the Giant Lobster from Hazy Lane get added to the game?
Well, we thought media could do with more lobster representation, so we politely emailed Hino asking him if we could add a lobster to Yokai 3, to which he declined, saying,
どうやって私のメールアドレスを入手したのですか? そして、無限の地獄とはロブスターのことですか?
Devastated by this news, John Lobster decided to break into Level 5 headquarters and added in the giant lobster from Hazy Lane, alongside the accompanying lobster's tea. Surprisingly, no one noticed, and it somehow made it into the final game.
So, I've heard some claim that the Giant Lobster from Hazy Lane is actually a crayfish. Is there any truth to that statement?
No, not at all. I have no idea where it started from. It disgusts me how people can look at a lobster and think crayfish. We do have plans to sue fandom for spreading misinformation and misrepresenting lobsters.
Well, there you have it. The real reason the Giant Lobster from Hazy Lane was added. Now, what about his in-game backstory? Now, that still remains a mystery, but with the help of Matt Patinyan, I've come up with a game theory. Throughout the hidden VHS tapes hidden within Hazy Lane, we learned that Moody Mary had a fondness for crustaceans and the yokai Beto Beto-san. In one of the secret cutscenes in the Infinite Tunnel, we hear Malice talk about his daughter's beloved pets and it goes unspecified what they were. This leads me to conclude that the giant lobster from Hazy Lane exists because Moody Mary had a pet lobster who tragically died from death. Further evidence supporting this theory is that Moody Mary's crying sounds exactly like she's saying lobster. Still don't hear it? Here it is reversed and slowed down. So now that we know why the giant lobster from Hazy Lane is in Hazy Lane, what's the further significance of the lobster? Why would Hino choose to add a lobster of all things? It can't just be a random thing he thought would be funny. No, don't be silly. First we must look at the history of lobsters. Lobsters first gained sentience in 125 BC, where they lived peacefully in a very normal, infinitely long rice paddy field. They were much bigger, growing up to 7,979 meters in length. Any human who dared invade their lane would be chased and eaten alive. The lobsters being this big were easy targets for hunting, so over time they evolved to become smaller, until 50 BC, where they became human-sized. They remained peaceful up until 1306, where they were forced to migrate to the sea due to their lanes becoming too hazy. By 1548, all lobsters had evolved to fit the new habitat, by becoming smaller and losing their wings. All was fine up until 1876, where the Great Crustacean War broke out between lobsters and crayfish. The lobsters unfortunately lost the war and were forced to become the more popular choice for human food. In 1987, a lobster named Larry set out on a mission to become the world's strongest lobster to defeat Beto Beto-san. Larry trained day after day, lifting weights and making friends with sea sponges. After years of training, Larry finally decided to defeat Beto Beto-san once and for all. The battle was fierce, with Larry clearly having the better physical strength. Beto Beto-san had a different plan. Every time Larry moved, Beto Beto-san would move further forward. Eventually, Beto Beto-san made it to the front row and unleashed his special attack, not only killing Larry, but destroying the cave they were in, thus also killing Beto Beto-san. Thanks to his noble sacrifice, Larry became famous around the world, with a cartoon being made in his honour. Clearly, the giant lobster of Hazy Lane is supposed to represent Larry, and Skulk representing Beto Beto-san, explaining why both can chase you and both can be fought. I don't really see any other similarities, so this might be a bit of a stretch, but it's my best explanation. Now, whenever you next encounter the giant lobster from Hazy Lane, think about the deeper implications, about Larry's noble sacrifice, and remember that you can do anything as long as a buff lobster named Larry is sacrificed. Now we must discuss how the giant lobster from Hazy Lane was first discovered, which brings me to this post on Lobster. I refuse to call it Y. It was a normal day in 2016, playing Yo-Karts 3 on my brother 4DS, and I got to this weird place called Greenfields that had no music, which really creeped me out, which brought me to the Hazy Lane. I'd never heard of anything like it before, and no one else seemed to either. It was this creepy, infinitely long path with strange music and random NPCs asking questions, or claiming to be stuck. I came across a train, a vending machine, and the lane even went upside down. All normal things. But then, my character stopped moving, and I died from a heart attack, thinking it was terror time. Once I awoke as a ghost, I saw it. A giant lobster behind my player character chasing him, and once it caught up, my IP address popped up on screen. Thinking it was a bug, I shrugged off and kept playing, until it happened again, where this time the lobster said my full legal name, which I was thankful for. You'd be surprised at how much you forget when you become a ghost. I finally make it to the exit, where I come across this weird girl named Moody Mary, and she tells me to run, and that it is inside. Then the game crashes and bricks my brother's 4DS. I knew it was a bad idea to mod it. I went downstairs only to see the giant lobster from Hazy Lane standing there, holding what looks to be a job application and some grass. After witnessing that horror, I promptly dies again from shock. The internet was so shocked after this incident that very few people even wanted to play Yo-Karts 3 when it came out in English, causing Yo-Karts 3 to do horribly and no other games getting localized. Well, there you have it, the highly requested giant lobster from Hazy Lane video. Who would have thought Yo-Karts, the most mysterious character, would end up being This video wouldn't have been possible without the live chat on that one Yo-Karts 3 stream. I hope this video has answered any questions you had about the giant lobster from Hazy Lane. If not, here's his address so you can ask him yourself. As usual, like and sub if you like this and want to see more, and comment any lobster fun facts I missed. So I've been gifted a lot of memberships recently, so I'm only going to shout out the Robinyan and higher members. So, shoutouts to Tycoon Boat, Metal Flint, Opal Kitsune, Epic Alien, Angelo, Lenny Face, Hat Guy, Low Quality Sam, Common Wing, Untitled Goose Guy, Noble Samurai, Help Studios, King Slinky, Grifo, Coma Treatment, Matteo Trezzi, Real Shogun Yan, Forecast Corrali, Green Tea Cookie, Omega Knight, Ari Moz, Boston Madhorn, Theaner 1, I'm probably saying a bunch of these wrong, sorry. Francie, Wee Melon, Polaroid King, Arctic ZH, Any Starfall, George Sanchez, Duda, Batspire Kitty, channel has been deleted, okay. JKNJ, KJBH, JKNK, Palix, Dr. Habit, Hazy Lane, Eat Gay, Green Giraffe, Big Enzo XC, Mystic Warriors, Joe, Tammy Dia, Josu Barroso, Starlord Turnbull, QB the Kitsune Snake YT, Franti Tritorta, Stumble Not Seen, Anto Requiem, Carter Keeps Catching, I think I figured out, I think I'm supposed to be Marvel vs DC fights, MTK Drift, Spyro Dan, Ibrahim, I probably said that wrong, Bagel 2000, Vince Ariak, Bluesy AA, Ariokai Salvo, Steven Universe Fan, Adibaz, Navix, and I am going to let the rest scroll by. And I'll see you in the next one. Also, April Fool. This video, April Fool. If you couldn't tell, April 1st video, Lobter.